So I've been working in sales for over 13 years now, and I've been in marketing for like almost about to be 6 years. And what I will and see out in my sales career, I was started off, like in baby jobs, but my first big boy job after college was in finance, and that's where I got like the best training. That's where I really built my business foundation, like the true business foundation, not just getting my feet wet, not just my first few experiences. Like for example, my first experience in sales was knocking door to door. Back in that time, the opportunity I jumped on was called canvassing. That's what they said. This is a canvassing job. Basically, just go through the neighborhood, knock on the doors, and it was for an HVAC company. So a company that specializes in the air conditioning and the heating of a home. And so we went knocking door to door. So that's my introduction into sales. I didn't know about sales before that. And then that's when I found out, and somehow I was hooked to the game. But I went to college after that because I was in high school. So I went to college after that, and I explored all these different career paths and stuff. But ultimately, I became a sales professional, and I've been a sales professional for over a decade. But selling marketing services, I realized that this question has popped up again and again and again. This is a huge thing. It's like, should a business do their marketing in-house, like with the team that they have, or should they even do it themselves, like as the founder, or should it be something that's outsourced? And the most like common sense the most common sense that people walk with is like, okay, if you have some type of marketing background and you know how to do some of the marketing stuff yourself, why not just go ahead and get it done? If you have a small team already put together and some of the people on your team are marketing people that can get these things done, then yeah, do it in house, right? And if you're getting results from your efforts and it's working and you're starting to build, then you're totally fine doing it in house as opposed to paying somebody else outside of your team to help you get it done. Okay. So that's like the most common sense. Anybody can understand that. Even me walking into these conversations with business owners, I can see that common sense right there. Right. But here's the thing is that if business owners are not getting the results they want from doing it on their own, then of course they would want to hire some help, some professional help. And when I sold marketing services, this is who I was talking to: business owners who could do some stuff on their own, right? And who have found some success navigating on their own. But then they realized they had to get help. And and a lot of times when these business owners found me, and I've worked with a few different agencies, but by the time I'm having that conversation with them, they might have already hired professional help in the past. So they've already had that experience and they kind of have an idea about how they answer this question. What's the question, right? Do you do in-house marketing or you do outsourced marketing? Ultimately, right, spoiler alert, to cut to the chase, every business owner has to find themselves somewhere on that spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, it's 100% in-house, and on the other end of the spectrum, it's 100% outsourced. Now, let me tell you something. It's hard to really be 100% in-house marketing. It's really hard because of tools, because the internet, right, is where the best marketing happens. Why do I say it's the best marketing? Not because it has like the most effective strategy or necessarily the most effective results, but the fact that you can track so well what's happening with your online marketing is what makes it the best, because you can determine what is effective and what's not. You have the best tracking, was what it seems like, and which allows you to read data, re-strategize according to what the numbers are telling you. And then that means you can become more and more effective. So essentially, using the online channels for marketing is the best. And so if you know marketing principles, if you understand marketing strategy, then you just have to apply them in the online channels and you're good, right? What I'm trying to say is that nobody is really 100% in-house. Everybody has to rely on something else, even if it's like a platform. For example, some people want their website to pop up higher on a Google search. So when people go and search up something related to your business, for example, like let's say plumbers, if we have people who are searching up for plumbers, man, I need some help with plumbing in my house, then the marketing strategy for a plumbing company who's trying to capture that person is let me rank higher on the Google search. That's called SEO, right? Search engine optimization. So for those of you that already know that, yes, SEO is one huge thing. And then some people run the ads, right? So you pay Google to get better visibility. There's stuff you do organically, like on your website using the words and stuff, right? SEO people speak up on it. I'm not an SEO person. I just understand the idea of how it works. So what we look at is that you have to use these platforms like Google so you can rank higher when people want to search for something specific. You want to give money to people like Google so they can show your stuff as an advertisement. And advertisements have been around for a long time. So is it really in-house if you're paying somebody else so that you can advertise on their stuff? Is that really in-house? So you can kind of consider it in-house because you have somebody who is making that decision, putting the strategy together, making all the decisions about it. Simply they're saying, let me rent this piece of space for me to send my message out there. So online, it's a virtual piece of space, like a virtual real estate. And it says, hey, I don't own the website. I don't own the actual virtual place here, but I'm going to rent it from you. So I'm going to pay you so that I can put my stuff on there. And this is what advertising is. Just like if you think of a billboard, just bear with me, right? Because I need to explain for those of you that not too like well versed into the marketing stuff and the terms and all that. Let me explain that. Like a billboard is not yours. You don't own the billboard when you want to put your ad up there. So you have to pay whoever the owner of the billboard is, right? So you're like renting it and say, hey, let me pay this much for a month and I'll put my sign up on that billboard. And then after the month, maybe I'll take another month. We'll see what happens. So renting the space, is that 100% in-house that, you have to rent it? I would say, for this example, we would say it is. Okay. So where's the cutoff? Because essentially you have social media platforms, which you can go, you don't have to pay anything, but their algorithm is pushing your content to the people they believe is the right people to see it. Okay. So you are getting help from them when you post online as a way of marketing. And then you'll have the option to pay them for ads, so then they can push it to more people. They will do a better job for you getting it to the right people if you pay them, right? Makes sense. Okay, so I think at the point that you start to pay them, it's a little bit of outsourced marketing, but it can be considered still more leaning in-house, just not 100% in-house, but it's leaning way far to, let's call it that side, which is in-house marketing. If you didn't hire anybody to help you make the decisions, you just said, hey, let me hop on through my own social media account. Let me set up an ad account. Let me choose what video or what image is going to be on there. Let me choose what words, which link. And you do everything else, and the only thing you left up to somebody else was the algorithm. Send it to the right people. Then yeah, I mean, it's pretty much in-house marketing. Okay, so this is my super long intro. Because I just really, what I really want to talk about is how we explore that decision making. How does a business owner choose to start outsourcing some marketing? How do they choose to retain things in-house? Or how does a business owner who has started to see success from outsourcing, how do they start to shift backwards back in the other direction, right? Back towards in-house. So you'll see a lot of business owners in the beginning get some small results doing it on their own. They start outsourcing, get better results. They get busy, so they can't really afford to move towards more in-house. So the trend is a little more outsourcing. And since there's great results from it, it seems to be the way to go. Now, it helps you get the job done per se. What is the job done, right? In marketing, we need to get attention. We need to get people interested. When interested people show up, they raise their hand, they say, I'm here, then marketing is successful. It's done its job. Okay, so that's what we needed to do. It needed to get the job done. The sales side And these two things are very closely connected, but they're separate. They're different. Marketing and sales are different, but they're very closely connected. Marketing gets the job done, and people say, hey, I'm here, I'm interested. I would like to talk about this. If it's something at a smaller price, a human doesn't actually have to engage, because at a smaller price, somebody can make the decision simply reading something, watching a video, digesting the information on their own, and then just determine, hey, you know what, is this something that's good for me? Does it seem like it's worth it or not? And then they can make that decision, put in their payment information, and then bam, transaction happens. But for things that are a little higher priced and a little more complex of a solution, it typically is helpful to have a conversation. So that's where sales comes in. And in my opinion, and in the way I do sales, it's not about convincing somebody. If we enter a conversation and I realize, whoa, you thought you were interested in this, but it seems like maybe you're not really, or you thought this might be good for you, but based on what I'm hearing, this probably is not the best move for you. Let me point you in the right direction. You should probably be looking more at doing that kind of stuff. And if we can help, then totally, but I'm thinking that maybe this person could help better. So for me, it's like, I'm not trying to convince nobody just to come with me. And not everybody is supposed to work with us. There's no solution that's good for everybody is the assumption that you should always walk forward with. Like, so that's what I think about when I'm in sales, right? So in sales, it's not about convincing nobody, but if we get too many people that seem to think this is for them and it's not really for them, then also there's something to fix with marketing. So one thing, marketing gets its job done when there's enough people who are saying they are interested, enough people. But just the quantity alone is not everything. It gets its job done when there's enough people who are interested and actually qualified for the solution. But what does that mean? That means like just basically they are truly interested. They're not interested in what they thought it was. They're interested in what it actually is. And I have to clarify what it actually is to make sure that's what they're interested in. But also, besides them being interested, do I think this could work for them? Do I think that this would be a good investment of their money, right? Are they going to get that return on their money? And a business owner who has to try so hard to make sure that the person in the salesperson in the conversation with them actually cares about their return, I would tell the business owner, just leave that conversation, dude. You shouldn't be working that hard to make sure that that person keeps your best interest in mind. What the heck? Like when I'm having sales conversations with people, I'm not saying, hey, I want you to buy this. I'm saying, hey, first of all, let's make sure that this is what you thought it was. This is what you thought you were interested in. And second of all, let's make sure that this could actually work for you. This will be a good investment for your money, that you will get a return. Now, me just saying that doesn't mean they're going to believe I have their interest at heart. Doesn't necessarily mean that. But just having the conversation, they can start to decide for themselves. And that's one huge thing I can help business owners do, is determine, based on the conversations you're having, who's a real one, basically. Who's a real one? Who's really going to help you? Who really knows how to get the job done? Who understands what you're telling them, right? Who's actually going to keep your best interests at heart? Ultimately is what it all comes down to, okay? And that's on the sales side. But in the marketing, we just need to make sure we have enough people in general, but enough people that are actually interested in the thing we're interested in. And so that's what getting the job done is. And so a business owner who starts off 100% in-house marketing slowly starts to shift over. And as they get busier, they can't really afford to shift back so much unless they are building a team that can help them shift back. That's who it's going to do, not the business owner. The team that they start to build, the people they bring onto the team would be the ones to help them shift it back, right? Or they keep going this way until eventually they get to a point where it does make sense to shift back. And how does that look like, right? And that's why I'm explaining. Why does so as a business owner starts to go more outsourced, they're getting the job done. Why does it shift back? Right? They keep going this way. Why? Because it gets the job done. Why do they shift back? There's plenty of reasons why they shift back. There's always going to be like one or two things, or maybe many things. Maybe you go and hire some help. It got the job done in a particular area. For example, I'm a brand new business. I don't have a website. Hired somebody, make the website. The website's helping. I send people to the website and it helps them build some trust in me. Maybe they fill out a form right there, right? They watch a video. Whatever I can do with the website is helpful. It's getting the job done in a sense, but there's things missing, right? It doesn't help me. It doesn't do social media content. So people don't find me through social media. to then, because I have a website, I can send people from social media to the website, but I have to put out content on social media first to get them to care. And then once they're a little bit interested in what we got going on, then they will go to the website because I have it linked. And I tell them, go to the website now. So it doesn't get everything done. So I got to go to a little more outsourced, right? If I could have the professional help where they would help me do social media stuff and they would help me do the website, and then bam, I'm getting both of those things done. But now what's missing? Okay, so I hope I'm painting that picture well, but what I'm trying to say is that a business owner slowly starts to slide over to more and more outsourcing, and they go to different professionals. They get professional help for different things, and they move on from one professional help to another based on what's missing or based on them getting to the next level and maybe outgrowing the service provider. So you have this trend. This is what I've noticed in my experience, guys. So I'm just speaking off from my experience, but what I'm going to do is look up on AI. So using Google Gemini, I know there's plenty of AIs out there. It's not about which AI is the best or whatever, but it's just helpful to think, okay? So I'm using Gemini and I'm asking the question there, and I'm going to just kind of share what I'm getting from here and then sprinkle in some of my own insights based on my actual experience having conversations with people, okay? So I just typed in-house marketing versus outsourced marketing. That's all I put, nothing else. And it says choosing between keeping your marketing in-house or outsourcing it to an agency, freelancers, is one of the most consequential decisions a business can make. Neither option is universally better. It usually comes down to your stage of growth, your budget, and how fast you need to move, right? So kind of like this, some of the stuff I've talked about. But here's a breakdown to help you weigh the trade-offs directly. And it's going to talk about all these different features. I'm going to list the features and then I'm going to speak on them a little bit. So it's listing brand and product knowledge, skill set breadth, like how much is covered, cost predictability, cost for sure, speed and control. I was thinking control as one of the number one things, but speed and control is bunched together here. Tech and software costs. Okay, so these are the features, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 features that it's going to use in the comparison. So on the in-house marketing side, when we're talking about brand and product knowledge, the team typically has deep product knowledge. If you're the one business owner, then I'm going to say, like, for you as the only person, you are the team. Your product knowledge or like brand knowledge, you knowing how to represent your brand well, is deep. That's like, it runs super deep. You live and breathe your product every single day, and so does your team. So especially if you bring in somebody who knows some marketing stuff, because they are inside, they understand the product and they understand the brand and they understand the marketing stuff. That's a really good person to start building up the marketing efforts in-house. Doesn't mean that you'll be 100% in-house. Doesn't mean you'll be 90, 80, 70. But even if you're the business owner who has built a team and you're further along, you've had outsourced help, but now you have somebody who can start doing some of the in-house, like, that's what you're going to look for, that person, if you're not that person, okay? If you're the business owner, this would be a reason why, right? But when you look at the other side, there's the other features might outweigh the advantage of doing it in-house according to brand knowledge and product knowledge. It is true, the outsourcing to somebody else typically means that their product knowledge is like very surface level. Maybe it's a little bit deeper because they specialize in your niche, but it probably is never going to catch up to what you know. There are some examples. Now, here's what I'll say. There are some examples, like for newer business owners or for outdated business owners. Wow. So you're too new or you're too old in the game, and you just don't actually know what the people care about anymore. You're not in touch with the new trends. I hesitate to say trends, but that's an easy way to understand it, right? You're not in touch with the new trends that are going on in the market. That means that, for example, Let's say like with business owners who are shopping for marketing, right? So I was helping business owners make a decision. Hey, do you want to hire us or not? And if you're too new, it's hard for you to understand if this is a good investment or not because you don't really know the difference. And I could help you understand what the difference is. I could help you understand, okay, here's how most ad agencies work. Here's the difference between you having to pay the social media platform and you not having to pay the social media platform, right? I can bring in some education to help a brand new business owner understand, like, this is the right way to go. Also, like, there's an outdated business owner, somebody who was doing something that worked for a long time, and then they started to see downtrend. They started to see that they weren't getting the same results anymore. But they just don't know which way to go now. They're hearing a bunch of information from online, but they don't know exactly like which one's the best. And I can also bring some education to that person and help them decide. So in some cases, actually, your brand knowledge and your product knowledge doesn't matter so much because your brand and your product needs to change. And for me, for example, like, I'm new to branding myself as a business. I've been a sales professional and I haven't been like working on being my own business. And I've been a business owner before, but I didn't need to brand myself as a business because I didn't think about doing the marketing like that. I was just going through networking, selling. It's what I'm good at. And it's pretty evident, right? I can bring this skill set in your business, help you make more sales, help your people make more sales by helping them learn how to be more effective. So I'm new to this branding stuff, okay? But now I'm not too far off because I was selling the services. So I work for a company. A company helps other businesses. I'm helping those businesses make a decision to hire us. Like, you think that I would know some stuff, right? I do know some stuff. I know a lot of stuff, but I still need to get some help. So I also have to take advice about where my brand should go. So even though like I have the most knowledge and I ultimately am the one determining what the brand should be and how I should represent the brand and stuff, and ultimately I'm determining what the product is and I'm going to sell, like, I still kind of need that help being pushed in the right direction. So this one I think is a more important feature when a business is more established. And I think, like, if you are the sole business owner and you're making great money, you should focus on hiring people and building a team to take the work off your hands. Because when that happens, you free up yourself. You free up your time and your energy, of course, so like physically getting stuff done, but you free up your brain power. Like, even when you're not at work, because you know you have a team taking care of the other stuff, then your brain kind of continues, even subconsciously, even without you knowing it, your brain continues to work on strategy and solving problems. And then you can think more like a marketing strategist. And then if you get some help with that part of marketing, like the strategy part and learning it, then you'll be able to do a lot of in-house marketing because you'll be able to lead the way and stuff like that. So that's what I would recommend. This feature about brand knowledge and product knowledge, like, that's not so important. So I'm going to move on. Skill set breadth. I think this is way more important. This plays out, in my experience, this plays out as a significant factor way more often than anything else, for sure. As of that, that's what I'm thinking as of now. I'm talking about this stuff with you guys, like, as I'm thinking through it, okay? Because I'm trying to get organized and get structured here. But the difference is that when you do in-house marketing, you're going to limit yourself to the skill set that your team has. If you're the only one, it's your skill set alone. If you're a team of 5, it's what is the skill set among all 5 of you guys. Maybe somebody knows how to do websites, somebody knows how to do social media, somebody has some like marketing principles in mind that can work on strategy. Some people is good at designing stuff. And for nobody, it's their full-time job, but they just kind of know how to do these things, so they're going to pitch in. Some of these people on your team are doing a full-time job, like maybe they're like an admin person and they're just doing like administrative tasks, but they also like the social media stuff and they do want to get more into that. And if they could, they would make that the full-time job. But right now in the business, on paper, they're an administrative assistant. But now that they're pitching in on that stuff, they see a path for them to get that way. Now, this is a good thing. I'm painting that picture because it's a great thing. But it still means that the skill set is limited by your team, by who's on your team. So the outsourcing looks good because broad skill sets out there. Whatever's missing on your team, like, man, we don't have anybody who knows how to run the ads, the advertisements well. And it would be a good idea to invest a little money in order to make a whole lot more money. That's what ads are all about. But we need to know how to do it properly to make sure that happens, to make sure that if we're investing this much, we're going to be, making back this much. And then the more we invest, right, the more that we're getting back. And so having the effectiveness is what they're looking for. Even though they can go and learn these things, they're saying, okay, we can take time learning these other things, but when it comes to ads, we cannot take too much time trying to learn it. We're going to go to the professional who's really good at it. And that's because we're going to pay money. We're going to put money down on ads, and we're going to expect a return. That's what ads should be about. So, by the way, if you do want to run some ads so that you can start learning it, I highly recommend that. But if you're like banking on results and you need your company to make some money from the ads, then do them simultaneously. Have some stuff that you're testing, experimenting with so that your team can learn and get better and you can do it in-house. But then have a professional come and help you get results fast. And better yet, I'll tell you something. The last marketing company that I was with helped bridge that gap because there we understood. We understood that a lot of business owners do want to move back towards the in-house marketing efforts. They do, but how do they do that? And one of the hardest parts is the ads. Now, ads are about to get a whole lot easier because of AI and because the platforms want you to do better with ads. They want you to have more success. It's not that they want you to pay them money and they don't care what you get in return, because if you're not getting a return, you will stop paying them to run the ads. And they want you to keep paying. So they're like, let's help them get better results. So they want to keep paying us for ads. Okay. So the marketing platforms want to get better at helping you be successful with ads. So they're going to help make it easier. And plus the AI technology that's out here nowadays, you can do the ads yourself and start getting good at it. And you just have to start experimenting, start testing. Okay. I do recommend that. I do. And in the last marketing company that I was with actually did done with you products, right? We've known about marketing agencies for a long time now that have done for you services. And then we've known about like coaching programs or like courses and stuff like that where it's DIY, right? Do it yourself. You do it yourself. You do it on your own. But done with you is this other interesting model. And it's where we bridge that gap where we say, okay, look, you're a business owner who has got some outside help. You've done some stuff in-house. Ideally, you'd like to move more in-house for different reasons, right? We're going to keep talking about those reasons, right? But in order to get, like, you want to run ads, and in order to get your results quicker, you want to get that professional help to get it, but you do want to learn. So if you want to do both, you want to be experimenting so you can learn, but you also want to get some quick results. How do you do it? Done with you service is the way. It means that we're going to, like, let's say, for example, you hire me for done with you service, right? Then you're gonna watch me doing this work, right? It's not gonna be like this. I'm gonna get on a video call and I'm gonna share screen so that you can watch me work. And I'm gonna be working, and then you're going to see how I do it. You're gonna see what I click, where my mouse goes, what I type. I go here first. First on the side, I write up this. Then once I have that ready, then I come in here, I put it in here. Okay, after that though, don't keep working on the platform. There's something else that we actually have to do. Like, once you start seeing, when you're going through the motions with me, you start to realize how it's done, like physically how it's done, but then more importantly, the thinking, right? Because you need to have a method, a series of steps that you take every single time that gets you predictable outcomes. You need to have a process, a way that you roll this out to your team. Okay, today I'm doing the legwork of getting the ads up and getting them running and checking on them and optimizing, meaning I got to adjust them if something's not going the way it's supposed to, right? Learning how to read the numbers, that's a huge one. It's like a lot of business owners haven't got that part down yet. Maybe they're good at numbers. They just like what exactly, it's the shortcut. Almost like, Herman, let me help you learn it fast. I know you're good at numbers, so I can teach you the high level way. Some people are not that good at numbers, and so that's where hey, let me make this real simple. It's actually not that hard. If you're not that good at numbers, don't dive into all the numbers. These are the only numbers you need. So in my experience, I've seen like with the numbers, that's a huge thing for people to learn about, and how to read the numbers and how to make adjustments based on the numbers. So done with you service is like, let me get you results fast, but let me teach you along the way how you can do this yourself so that you don't have to depend on me forever to do these efforts, right? That is the best. Okay. So, so far I've talked about it from the Google Gemini. What they say are the important features to consider here is the brand knowledge, product knowledge, which seems to be better when it's done in-house. And then skill breadth is limited more when you're doing it in-house, and it's more broad. You have access to specialized talent when you go outsourcing. A lot of times you hire one agency and they can get you the help, all the other help. But the next one is cost predictability. So it's listing cost predictability. When you're going through your own team, you just determine like, okay, here's the fixed cost. Here's what we're paying our people. We already have this overhead that we are paying for. The trouble, it's a good thing in the sense where you're not adding a new cost, like something brand new by hiring somebody. But the expensive thing about building in-house is that you have to think ahead, and you have to realize that if I have Sally, who's an administrative assistant, taking like only a couple hours out of her day to do the thing, neither the administrative assistant work or the role itself as an administrative assistant or the role as a social media manager, neither of them are getting done like to the full potential, because it's only Sally who's doing it, part-time. So what you run into is thinking ahead and saying, how do we move Sally towards full-time, or how do we get some brand new people who can do full-time? And of course, it's hard for a business to have that financial security, to be able to commit to a full-time salary. If you can't commit to a full-time salary, it's just hard to bring people in, and it's hard to retain them, because a lot of people are just looking for a job. So building in-house is like trying to find people who are employees and having them step up to help you build a business. Right? Now, it's not every once in a while you get somebody who's an employee who's willing to step up, and they start to become more like entrepreneurial. So they understand putting in that extra work, even though there's no specific way that I'm getting paid today. This is a great opportunity for me to step up, because I will prove that I should be in that role. Sally might keep stepping up, because when the company can't afford to have her in that role full time and can have somebody else replace her in the administrative role, then she'll be the first one in line for that spot. She'll be the most qualified. So the challenge for a business is kind of thinking ahead about cost, and it makes it easy to hire somebody else to help you with marketing because of the flexible cost predictability, right? So you can say, hey, let me just hire somebody and get results today. If I pay $2,000 to get this guy to help me, and he helps me make $10,000 in return, then that was a good investment. And it means that I made my money back, and plus I have this extra profit to reinvest in my business towards doing more in-house or towards hiring the next level of professional help. So thinking ahead is where a business owner's mind essentially goes and needs to go. It's to where it should be going. So when a business owner starts to do that, that's what they're really weighing out, the predictability here. And sometimes it's more cost effective in the short term to just hire some outside help, but sometimes that's not that important of a factor. And so now for that situation, it's like more cost effective to do it in-house. For the person who's brand new, you might think, I can't afford $2,000 for this help. So it feels like I don't have a choice. I have to do it myself, right? And And in that situation, right, you're like very, very brand new. You got to figure out the one thing that you can do on your own that gets you enough results to get that help. And sometimes that help that you're going to buy, that first help you're going to buy, could be learning, you gaining the next skill set. So um, for example, so somebody says, okay, I have a brand new business and so far I'm just word of mouth, but I know I got to do stuff online. I know how to create a social media account for it and I know how to post, so I'm posting. But it's not really getting me clients, right? Or some people are interested, but they're not really buying. Like, what's the first thing that you should learn, right? Should you learn how to do better posts? Should you learn how to take conversations from interested people on social media and turn that into sales, right? More like sales skills. Should you learn how to do ads? Forget how to do better posts, just how to do ads, right? Should you learn how to make a website? Is that what you should do next, right? I can help you decide, but I can't just like blanket statement and say this is what it should be. But I think that most people should learn skills to a certain sales. You learn sales skills. You get that to like a certain level. If you're at 0, and never had any sales experience, never learned any sales skills in your life, we got to get, that's like super dry. Like that's urgent, super urgent to like get you to a level. Me, I could teach you. Let me know. I don't have anything structured, a class, anything like that I'm selling. I'm just saying, if you'd be willing to pay me, we could talk about it. I'd be super cheap since you'd be one of my first clients with it, but I'd help you get you to that first level. And what does that look like? It just means that you got to go from not understanding sales. Maybe you're even scared of sales. You don't like salespeople. You hear me saying I'm a salesperson and you're like, whoa, you're only listening this long because you're like, man, maybe I can learn something, but you don't even want me to know that you're listening because you don't like sales. And you don't see yourself becoming a salesperson because sales is icky. Okay, a lot of people feel that way. And if you're that person, like, we first have to get rid of that. I have to help you see the way that I sell. I can bullet point it for you, like an outline to show you the steps I take when I do my sales work. I can show you that to show you, look, this is not about taking advantage of people. It's not about trying to convince people. It's not about always just trying to get people to come my way. It's not. It's about finding win-win situations. Win-win situations, okay? And how do you do that? Okay, if I were able to just show you that outline and in an hour, in the matter of an hour, you would walk away understanding it in your mind, okay? What could that be worth? 50 bucks? If you pay me 50 bucks, I'll for sure spend that hour with you, and then I'll let you ask me any follow-up questions, because just because you understood it in that hour doesn't mean you're ready to rock and roll. But when you gear yourself to take action on that new knowledge, you'll realize some questions that you have, and you'll be like, oh, snaps, I have some questions here. I have some questions. And you feel free to ask me all the questions. In those questions is where you will empower yourself to take action, because those questions are the real barriers, maybe mental barriers, emotional barriers, to you taking action on the new stuff you learn. So when it comes to sales, I know exactly how to get you up from 0 to the bare minimum. If you already know a little bit of sales, then me just showing you what that bare minimum is enough. Like, I guarantee you won't need to ask any more questions. Like, you'll see that and be like, okay, a lot of things will be affirmed, like affirmation. You'll be like, okay, cool. That makes me feel like I am on the right track. Then you'll have the confidence to say, okay, let me just go and have these conversations this way. Everything's going to work out. And then you can work on a different skill set. I believe the sales skill needs to be at a certain minimum. And I also believe that the way you communicate, that's not sales, it's more marketing. Like if you do content, you're just posting. I do think like it's got to be at a certain level. Website, it doesn't really matter so much. To me, it doesn't really matter, because if you can just communicate in the posting and get people to start engaging with you based on what you're posting, and then you can have those conversations, well, like, you're going to figure it out. You're going to get clients, first of all, paying clients that feed your business. And then you're also going to learn more fast. Like, having the one-on-one conversations, which is sales stuff, It's going to teach you how to do better on the content. And then when you do the content, and you open up the conversations, you're going to get data about the content. So it's like the content's helping you enter the sales conversation. When you realize that people are biting on this post, you realize why they're biting. It's because of that specific post. What was different about this one than the rest? And you say, wow, they didn't. There's similarities in these 10 posts, but only one of them gets people to bite this much. And that specific aspect is what will dominate the conversation. Not because you make it, but because it naturally does, and you let that happen. So ultimately, getting good at these two things shows you how to let happen what can already happen without you forcing too much. Once you do that, like depending on what you sell, you'll get to your first $1,000 in a month, or you can get to your first $10,000 in your month. Like if you sell something at a higher price, super high value, you can get to $10,000 a month easy. Like for example, earlier I said plumbers, like all home services have higher prices, and that market is just going to have like a lot of spending. There's a lot of spending. Homeowners do spending, okay? And so getting to $10,000 a month in the home services industry is not that hard. You just got to have the minimum skill and the minimum of your messaging is what I call it. It doesn't have to be social media. It could be something else. It could be physical stuff, flyers, business cards, billboards, right? Mail stuff to their house, which is very common in the home services industry. I'm just saying, get the messaging up, the mass messaging, the stuff that gets sent out. It could be mass texts, mass emails, what something that is geared towards mass messaging, like social media posts. You have to have a minimum skill level and sales, minimum skill level of how to handle conversations when people say they are interested and they want to know more. Wow, this is very, very long, and I've only gotten through like brand, product, and knowledge, skill set breadth, and cost predictability. But the other thing Gemini talks about is speed and control. There's high agility when you do it in-house. There's more process driven when you do it outsourced. There's a lot of value in being process driven. But there's a whole lot of value in speed, in the agility. And agility and speed are different. Like physically, I understand this very well coming from sports. Like speed is like if I'm running track, I run in a straight line, I just dip out fast, get to higher and higher speed. Okay. At any moment in time, I have a speed to measure. And ideally, I want to be able to get to high speeds. Sometimes you need to slow down speed. Yeah, you do. If you have not experienced anything in your business yet where you see why you would need to slow down, then you just haven't had enough experience yet. Even if everything is going great in your business and you're like, nah, I've never had to slow down, right? And then you're like a sick ass successful business. You're probably highly blessed, and maybe you're a prophet. Maybe God's got big plans for you. But I have a feeling you're either masking some of the challenges by all the successes you have, or you have a big surprise coming your way, and you'll realize where you have to slow down. Maybe your business is super successful, but your personal life is going to need some work at some point. That's what I've seen, that business owners have to slow down stuff in business because they need to get together their personal life. And ultimately, if they don't have the right leaders on their team to lead the way, and it relies on them to lead the way, they'll just say, well, fuck it, we'll slow down, Whoops, excuse my language. But I'm speaking from, real experience, real life experience that I've had. And this is what I'll see happen to business owners. Most of the time it's earlier on. People are not so blessed and have all this success without a whole bunch of challenges up front that they have to admit to. They have to admit that they're having these difficulties, and they have to ask for help, which is super humbling. Somebody who goes and starts their own business is typically bold and confident and wants to prove themselves. But when they have to ask for help, it kind of looks like it goes against what they're doing to have all that confidence and boldness in the first place. But a lot of people are already humble to begin with, so they easily go and get the help, and those become more successful faster. But it is a hard thing to ask for help. It's hard for me to ask for help. So a lot of times I'm talking to people and addressing that, right? But but what I really want to talk about is speed and control, which I think is also one of the most important. Um, I don't think this is easy to say unless you've been through enough experience. So once you've been through enough experience, then maybe you'll be honest and say this is the number one thing. But before that, the skill set thing is the easiest thing. The number one thing you can admit is the reason why you want to outsource. But speed and control. Speed is being able to go fast. Okay. Agility is considering direction. Like if you need a pivot, you need a pivot. And acceleration. How quick can I go from really fast to slow? And then how can I go back to fast? Right? If I'm from slow, how can I go back to fast? The acceleration is about agility. Speed just tells you at any given time what my speed is. Agility is like I can get back up there fast. Speed is also like I can change direction really quickly, pivot, boom, and go. Agility is also like if I'm going really fast, I can switch direction and still go fast. Because just like physically, like soccer, for example, I got to run in this direction, I got to run that way, and then I got to run this way. Oh snap! They kicked the ball over here now, so I got to change direction. And a lot of times, in order to change direction, I got to slow down. So if I'm running this way, and then all of a sudden the ball gets kicked that way, I have to change, and I have to use all this force to my legs have to slow me down in that direction, and then push me in this direction. That takes a lot. It takes a lot. And that's agility. That is called agility. So agility is different than speed, right? But the importance of this is that in-house, in your team, you have all that control on your agility. You want more agility? You work on it, right? You have built in the agility in your team, and you get to see what speeds your team can handle. Here it says fast turnaround on daily requests. Yeah. When you do it in-house, you're like, okay, can you get this done today? When you're hiring somebody else, they're not your employees. You're not their boss. Kind of the boss. That's how I see it. My clients are my boss. But you have the direct control over the priorities is essentially what it's about. When you go to hire somebody, you're agreeing on priorities with them a little bit, but it's more process driven, and that can have its own good things. You just don't have control over the agility and the speed. Of course, if they bring a lot of speed and a lot of agility, that's a huge plus, makes it worth it to hire them. But typically, you're working off of a fixed retainer, a project fee, easy to scale up and down based on budget. So, oh no, that's not the wrong one. Sorry. Subject to agency workflows, scope limits, and other client priorities. So, yeah, you don't own them 100%. The other thing is tech and software costs. So this is number 5 on the Gemini. I'm going to stop this video after this, but it's thinking about you have to pay for all your tools, all the software you're going to use and everything. And that can all add up fast. When you hire an agency, the marketing, they already use this day in, day out for themselves. They use it for their clients. And so just paying them for help, like you typically can just use their stuff, get like added to their accounts, and then it's included in one price and you don't have to pay it on your own stuff. So you get to eliminate some expenses that you were paying on your own. A lot of times when you hire somebody who can provide you those same tools.